Have you ever found yourself face to face with someone whose words feel like weapons, each sentence designed to provoke or dominate? Maybe it was during a heated work meeting, a family gathering, or even a conversation with a friend. Their tone sharpens, their volume rises, and suddenly, the dialogue feels more like a battlefield. In those moments, the temptation to react, to fight fire with fire, is almost irresistible. Yet, what if I told you there's another way? A way rooted in ancient wisdom that not only preserves your peace, but subtly leads the aggressor to reflect and perhaps regret their approach. Welcome to the world of Stoicism, where the true battle is within and victory is achieved through self-mastery. Today, we'll explore 6 powerful verbal techniques, each steeped in Stoic principles, to navigate aggression with grace. These aren't tricks to manipulate, but tools to guide the conversation toward clarity and respect. Imagine turning a moment of conflict into an opportunity for connection, all while maintaining your dignity. Stay with us as the final method reveals the ultimate Stoic insight: how to guide others to realize they've aligned with your perspective all along. The journey begins here, with the first crucial skill to dismantle aggression: recognizing hidden assumptions. 1. Recognize hidden assumptions. In every aggressive conversation, there's a hidden layer beneath the surface, a realm of unspoken assumptions that can twist the direction of dialogue. Often, the aggressor doesn't attack outright, but wraps their confrontation in questions designed to corner you. These aren't ordinary inquiries. They carry subtle implications, forcing you to agree with something you might not even believe. Imagine a salesperson asking, "Would you prefer leather or fabric upholstery?" Without realizing it, you're drawn into a decision about details before confirming if you even want the car. This technique, known as assuming the sale, is just one example of how assumptions can steer a conversation. How often do you face similar situations in everyday life? A colleague might say, "Do you want to stick with the unpopular approach, or should we explore alternatives?" What's the hidden message here? The assumption that your choice is unpopular, perhaps even wrong. For the Stoic, recognizing these traps is the first step toward preserving inner peace. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When faced with a loaded question, pause. Ask yourself, what is the assumption being made? Do I agree with it? Let's bring this to life with a practical example. Suppose you're in a tense family discussion and someone asks, "So you really think you know better than everyone else?" At first, it feels like an attack on your character, implying arrogance. The immediate response might be defensive. "That's not what I said." But Stoicism teaches a different path. Instead, calmly reply, "I don't claim to know more than anyone, but I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts." This diffuses tension and redirects the conversation toward mutual respect. Why is this approach effective? By refusing to engage with the hidden assumption, you avoid unnecessary conflict. Instead, you stay anchored, demonstrating that you won't be swayed by provocations. The other person is left to reconsider their question, often realizing its unfair implications. Here's another scenario. A friend comments, "Are you still clinging to those strange ideas?" The assumption that your beliefs are eccentric or outdated. A typical reaction might be to defend your ideas passionately, but a Stoic response invites reflection. You could say, "It seems you find these ideas unusual. I'm curious to hear why." This shifts the dynamic from confrontation to exploration. By identifying and addressing hidden assumptions, you protect your peace and integrity. You stand firm without resorting to counterattacks, embodying the Stoic ideal of composure. Think of how much unnecessary stress you could avoid if you approached every challenging conversation this way. But recognizing assumptions isn't just about avoiding conflict. It's about reclaiming your voice. When you see through the hidden layers of a conversation, you regain control of your narrative. You speak from a place of clarity and confidence, unshaken by external pressures. As we move forward, consider this. How many of your past conflicts could have been softened, even avoided, if you had simply paused to uncover the hidden assumptions at play? Keep this question in mind as we explore the next method, where we'll confront one of the most common traps in communication: the distortion of your words. 2. Escape the trap of distorted words. One of the most frustrating experiences in a conversation is hearing your words twisted into something you never intended. You say one thing and the other person responds with, "So you're saying," followed by a gross misinterpretation. Suddenly, you're on the defensive, explaining yourself, clarifying, and sometimes even doubting your original point. This is the "so you're saying" trap, a tactic often used, consciously or not, to provoke or discredit. But here's the Stoic perspective. Why should you let someone else dictate the meaning of your words? As Epictetus taught, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Even when your statements are distorted, you remain in control of your reaction. Imagine you're in a discussion about workplace productivity, and you suggest, "Sometimes hard work alone isn't enough to achieve success." Someone counters with, "So you're saying hard work doesn't matter?" This misrepresentation is designed to undermine your point, forcing you to defend a position you never took. A reactive response might be, "That's not what I meant at all." But Stoicism offers a better path. Instead, calmly say, "No, I'm saying that hard work is essential, but success often requires other factors too." This reaffirms your original point without succumbing to defensiveness. You stay clear, composed, and in control. Why do people distort your words? Sometimes it's a deliberate tactic to challenge you. Other times, it's simply a misunderstanding or their own bias clouding the interpretation. As Stoics, we recognize that their behavior reflects their internal state, not ours. Instead of reacting emotionally, we focus on managing our response. Here's a useful question to ask in these moments. Why might they be interpreting my words this way? Are they feeling threatened by the idea? Do they want to test your confidence? When you understand their motive, it becomes easier to maintain your calm. Let's take another example. You propose in a meeting we should consider allocating more resources to sustainability projects. A colleague responds, "So you're saying we should abandon all other projects for this one?" Rather than taking the bait, you could reply, "No, I'm suggesting we balance our efforts by increasing sustainability investment while maintaining other priorities." This not only clarifies your stance, but also subtly points out the irrationality of their distortion. An even more powerful approach is to turn the situation around with a question, "That's not quite what I meant. Could you share what led you to interpret it that way?" This invites them to reflect on their misinterpretation without confrontation. Often they'll realize their mistake and backtrack, seeing the conversation in a new light. In Stoicism, the goal is not to win an argument, but to maintain your integrity and foster productive dialogue. By calmly clarifying your position and gently addressing distortions, you demonstrate that you're not easily provoked. Over time, this builds respect and encourages others to approach conversations more thoughtfully. Now, think about your own experiences. Have you ever been trapped in a spiral of explaining and defending because someone twisted your words? How would it feel to respond with calm clarity instead? These Stoic techniques empower you to rise above the emotional tug-of-war and keep the focus on what truly matters, the content of your message. If this resonates with you, take a moment to reflect. Have you encountered similar situations? How did you handle them? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your stories and insights. And if you're finding these Stoic strategies helpful, don't forget to give this video a like. Your engagement not only supports our channel, but also helps spread these timeless principles to others seeking calm and clarity in their lives. 3. Handle the storm of questions. Some conversations aren't straightforward battles of words, but chaotic storms of overlapping questions and conflicting points. This is a classic tactic to overwhelm, leaving you scrambling to respond, often in ways that dilute your message or align you with ideas you don't support. In Stoicism, we call for calm in such moments. The key is not to fight the storm, but to steady yourself within it. Consider a scenario where someone asks, "Do you really think the company should overhaul its entire strategy just to cater to a few vocal customers?" This type of question is a smash question, two or more unrelated ideas crammed into one. The question implies not only that the strategy change is massive and disruptive, but also that the customer requests are insignificant. Answer hastily, and you risk agreeing to both assumptions without realizing it. A Stoic approach would involve breaking the question into its parts. You might respond, "I think it's worth evaluating our strategy in light of customer feedback, and we should also assess how significant those changes need to be." This way, you calmly address each aspect without getting drawn into an emotional or defensive stance. What happens when you don't take this approach? You may find yourself trapped, agreeing to implications you never intended. Your opponent seizes on this, pushing you further into a corner. But when you pause, reflect, and respond thoughtfully, you dismantle the trap. You regain control, not only of the conversation, but also of your internal state. In Stoicism, we emphasize separating what is within our control from what is not. In the storm of loaded questions, your focus should remain on your response, not the chaos presented to you. Remember, the goal isn't to answer every question as posed, but to clarify what you genuinely believe. Imagine a heated debate where someone asks, "Are you saying we should sacrifice efficiency and increase costs just to go green?" This question implies that pursuing sustainability is inherently inefficient and costly. Instead of reacting to defend your position on sustainability, you might calmly say, "I believe we can pursue sustainability while also finding ways to remain efficient and cost-effective." This response both reaffirms your values and challenges the assumptions without confrontation. Why do people use this tactic? Sometimes it's a deliberate effort to unbalance you. Other times, it reflects their own confusion or emotional state. Either way, Stoicism teaches us not to get swept up in their storm. Instead, we become the eye of the hurricane, steady and unshaken. This method isn't about dodging responsibility or avoiding tough conversations. On the contrary, it's about engaging more effectively. By breaking down complex questions, you pave the way for a clearer, more focused dialogue. You avoid unnecessary conflict and bring the conversation back to what truly matters. When you encounter these storms in your daily life, whether at work or in personal relationships, remember, your calm is your power. Slow the conversation down. Dissect the questions. Choose which parts to address, and do so with clarity and confidence. In doing so, you embody the Stoic ideal, resolute, rational, and unflappable in the face of chaos. This steadiness sets the stage for the next skill, uncovering the truth while maintaining respect. When conflict arises, how can we ensure we don't distort the other person's viewpoint in our pursuit of clarity? Let's explore this in the following section. 4. Respect the truth and avoid creating a straw man. In moments of conflict, it's tempting to simplify or distort someone else's argument to make it easier to counter. You've likely seen this happen, or perhaps done it yourself. Someone presents a nuanced position, and the response reduces it to an exaggerated or inaccurate version. This tactic, known as the straw man, might feel like a quick win, but in reality, it corrodes the integrity of the conversation. Stoicism teaches us to approach such situations with honesty and respect. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." In dialogue, this means engaging with the other person's true perspective, not a distorted version of it. After all, how can we seek truth if we aren't willing to fully understand the views of others? Imagine you're in a discussion about work-life balance. You suggest, "It's important to find time for personal well-being alongside professional goals." Your conversation partner responds, "So you're saying people shouldn't care about their careers?" This is a classic straw man, misrepresenting your view to make it seem extreme. In this moment, Stoicism advises restraint. You could react with frustration, but a better approach is to gently correct the distortion. "Not at all," you might say. "I'm suggesting that both personal well-being and professional success are important, and we don't have to choose one at the expense of the other." This response not only defends your position, but also reinforces your commitment to truth. But why do people resort to the straw man tactic? Often, it's a defense mechanism. When someone feels their beliefs are challenged, they might twist your words to protect their stance. In other cases, it's a sign of misunderstanding or even a lack of confidence in their argument. Recognizing this, a Stoic doesn't retaliate, but instead seeks to clarify and elevate the dialogue. Here's another scenario. A friend tells you, "I think it's wise to save money for emergencies." You respond, "So you're saying people shouldn't enjoy life or spend on things they love?" This counterattack may seem justified, but it's a straw man. A Stoic would pause and reflect. Why not ask, "Could you explain more about how you balance saving with enjoying life?" This question shows genuine curiosity and a willingness to engage with their actual view, not a simplified version. When you avoid the straw man, you also strengthen your own argument. How? By demonstrating that you've truly listened and understood the other side. This not only earns respect, but also opens the door to more meaningful conversations. Respecting the truth doesn't mean you must agree with the other person, but it does mean you honor their perspective as it is, not as you might prefer to portray it. In Stoicism, dialogue is not about victory, it's about discovery. Each conversation is an opportunity to learn, not just about the other person, but about yourself. How do you handle disagreement? Are you willing to challenge your impulses to misrepresent, to dominate, to win at any cost? Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." If someone distorts your words, resist the urge to retaliate in kind. Stay calm, clarify, respond with integrity. This not only preserves your peace, but also sets a powerful example of how discourse should be conducted. In the next section, we'll explore how to use the power of visual imagery to convey messages that resonate deeply and invite reflection. When words alone feel insufficient, how can metaphors and analogies help guide the conversation? Let's find out. 5. Use visual imagery to convey a deep message. When words escalate into a confrontation, clarity often becomes a casualty. In such moments, simply arguing harder doesn't help. Instead, Stoicism offers a more refined approach, the use of visual imagery. A well-placed metaphor or analogy can transform the tone of a conversation, breaking through defensiveness and inviting reflection. Why does this work? Because imagery bypasses the intellectual guardrails we often put up during disagreements. It taps into emotions, offering a fresh perspective without direct confrontation. A Stoic understands that when someone is entrenched in their position, forcing them to shift often backfires. Instead, guiding them gently through vivid, relatable examples allows them to see the situation differently. Consider this: you're in a heated discussion with a colleague who insists on rigidly sticking to old methods despite declining results. Rather than saying, "You're stuck in the past," which might provoke defensiveness, you could say, "It's like sailing with a broken compass. No matter how familiar it feels, it won't get us to where we need to go." This imagery paints a clear picture of the situation without directly attacking their stance. Or imagine someone is furious about an outcome they couldn't control. Instead of advising them to "just let it go," a phrase that rarely helps, you might offer this: "Fighting against what's already happened is like trying to stop the river's flow with your hands. The water only pushes back harder." This simple metaphor conveys the futility of resisting the inevitable, nudging them toward acceptance, a core Stoic principle. In these moments, you're not merely delivering a message, you're opening a door for the other person to step through on their own terms. They see the situation in a new light, not because you told them to, but because the image you painted led them there. Imagery is also an act of kindness. When you communicate in this way, you're showing respect for the other person's ability to reflect and grow. You're not trying to win or dominate, but to foster understanding. This is the essence of Stoic dialogue: guiding without forcing, sharing wisdom without imposing it. Now think about the last time you were in a tense conversation. Could a well-crafted metaphor have shifted the dynamic? Have you used imagery before, knowingly or not, to clarify your point? Share your experiences in the comments below. We'd love to hear how you've navigated similar situations. And if this approach resonates with you, consider giving this video a like. Your engagement helps us bring Stoic principles to more people, offering tools for thoughtful and meaningful communication. Every like and comment contributes to building a community grounded in calm, respect, and wisdom. 6. Reveal that they have already agreed with you. In every conversation, there exists a quiet, often overlooked truth. People may already share your perspective without realizing it. Stoicism teaches us to uncover this common ground, not through force or persuasion, but through gentle revelation. By showing someone that their actions or words align with your viewpoint, you disarm hostility and foster mutual understanding. Why does this work so well? Because it appeals to a fundamental human need to feel consistent in our beliefs and values. When you point out that someone's behavior aligns with a principle you're advocating, they're more likely to reflect on their stance without feeling attacked. It's a subtle yet powerful way to guide the conversation toward harmony. Imagine you're discussing a contentious topic, like balancing innovation with tradition in your workplace. Your colleague insists on sticking with established methods. Instead of challenging them head-on, you might say, "It seems like your focus on tradition stems from a desire for stability and success, which we both value. I think we're aiming for the same outcome, just with different approaches." This statement gently highlights the shared goal, shifting the dynamic from opposition to collaboration. The beauty of this technique is that it often bypasses defensiveness entirely. You're not asking them to change their mind outright. You're simply illuminating the alignment that already exists. In doing so, you invite them to reconsider their position from a place of shared purpose. Consider another scenario. A family member argues against your decision to take a new career path, fearing instability. Rather than defending your choice directly, you could say, "I appreciate your concern for security. It shows how much you care about my future. I also value stability, which is why I've carefully planned this transition." Here, you acknowledge their fears while reinforcing a shared commitment to a secure future. This approach works because it focuses on unity rather than division. It reframes the conversation, steering it away from conflict and toward understanding. Instead of debating differences, you emphasize shared values and goals. But how do you identify these shared elements in the heat of a tense discussion? It starts with active listening, a skill central to Stoic practice. Pay close attention not just to what the other person says, but to the values underlying their words. Are they prioritizing safety, fairness, or efficiency? Once you identify these core values, you can connect them to your own perspective, revealing the common ground. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, people exist for one another. This principle underscores the importance of finding connections, even in disagreement. When you help someone see that they've already aligned with you in some way, you foster a sense of partnership rather than opposition. Think of the power this holds in your daily life. How many conflicts could be softened or even resolved by revealing a shared truth? When others feel seen and understood, they're more likely to engage in open, constructive dialogue. This Stoic technique doesn't just end arguments. It builds bridges, creating space for growth and mutual respect. As we conclude this exploration of Stoic verbal techniques, reflect on how these principles can transform your interactions. Each method empowers you to maintain calm, seek clarity, and turn conflict into an opportunity for deeper connection. The journey of mastering these skills is lifelong, but with each step, you'll find yourself more resilient, composed, and in tune with the wisdom of Stoicism. Life will always present us with challenges, and often these challenges take the form of difficult conversations. Whether it's an aggressive colleague, a defensive family member, or a friend unwilling to see your perspective, the temptation to react emotionally is ever present. But Stoicism reminds us that true power lies not in controlling others, but in mastering ourselves. Through the 6 verbal techniques we've explored, recognizing hidden assumptions, escaping distorted words, handling complex questions, respecting the truth, using visual imagery, and revealing common ground, you now have a toolbox for navigating even the most heated exchanges. These methods don't rely on dominance or manipulation, but on clarity, patience, and a deep respect for both yourself and others. Imagine the impact of practicing these techniques consistently. Conversations that once left you feeling drained or frustrated could become opportunities for growth and connection. You'd carry yourself with calm assurance, unshaken by the words or emotions of others, embodying the Stoic ideal of tranquility in the face of adversity. As you move forward, I encourage you to reflect. Which of these techniques feels most natural to you? Where do you see room to grow? Perhaps the next time you face a tense conversation, you'll remember to pause, to listen, and to respond thoughtfully, transforming the exchange into something meaningful. If this exploration of Stoicism has resonated with you, let it be a starting point for deeper reflection. Stoicism isn't just about words, it's about a way of life, a life where peace is found not in the absence of conflict, but in how we choose to respond. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope these insights bring value and strength to your daily interactions. If you found this content helpful, consider sharing it with someone who could benefit from the calm and clarity Stoicism offers. And remember, every thoughtful comment and subscription helps us grow this community of wisdom seekers. Until next time, may your words be steady, your mind serene, and your spirit unshaken.